my name's Alexander and I'm going to be reviewing today The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is an RPG fantasy game. I'm going to be reviewing this on Xbox One, by the way. Clearly shown Xbox One. And it involves Geralt of Rivia. Geralt of Rivia is a witcher, as known in the title, and he hunts down monsters for a living. He hunts down various types and etc. So I'm going to show you what you get with the standard edition of the disc, and if you order it on, I ordered it on Amazon, so I don't know if it'll be different for different stores, but this is what I've got. So here I find a map of the world. You have in the three big cities, being Vizima down here at the bottom, and the river flows up to Oxenfurt up here, and further up is Novigrad, the biggest city in the north. You have the main Velen, which is the main part of the map. You have where the Witchers train up at the very top, Cairn Moraine, and you over on the left, over in the east, you have the Skellige Isles. So that's the map. You also get a compendium on the game, basically filling you in with the backstory and the lore of the game, because this is Witcher 3, and there has been previous games, but the developers have specifically stated that you don't need the other games to play. You've just got 1 and 2. You just don't need to play them, but it's always handy for stuff. You've got a wee thank you letters from the developers, CD Projekt Red. I really like this because a lot of AAA games now are just from big American corporations that don't really care so long as they get money. So the fact that they put, "Dear gamer, first of all we would like to thank you for your support. We really appreciate that you decided to spend your hard-earned money on our game and hope that you have a fun time playing it. Over 200 of us have spent the last 3 years working on The Witcher 3, and it is with great pleasure and humility that we present our game to you. At CD Projekt Red, we believe that when you buy our games, you're entitled to continuous free support, updates, patches and bits of new and amazing content. We owe you that for believing in us and purchasing our game. To thank you, we have prepared something really special, 16 DLCs for you to download." Now, the actual DLCs, when you think of DLC, you just automatically assume big 5-hour packs of game where it's a new element of the story, and there will be 2 of them. I can't remember the names, but there's one coming later on in this year and one coming early 2016, and they're said to both bring 30 hours of content, so that's pretty amazing. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But these 16 DLCs are just wee little tweaks and extras that they've added to the game. For example, they've already released new hairstyles, and there's an extra contract where you need to find out what's going on in a mine and why the miners have been disappearing in a town in Skellige. So I've already downloaded them. If you get it on the PC and you have it on Steam, I think they're automatically downloaded, so that's pretty good. But if you're on Xbox One or PS4 or on a different website that's not Steam that you've downloaded the game on, then you will need to work something else out or download it yourself. And we also get the game manual, which just fills you in the warranties and how the game interface works. This is quite handy, but I'm going to be informing you about that anyway. So, and you also get with the game the soundtrack. This is the soundtrack of the game. The soundtrack's really good. It just adds to the atmosphere of the game, and it's really good. So yeah. So on to the actual game itself. You get. I'm going to first be reviewing the combat system. The combat system is stellar. It follows suit a lot of. It's got a lot of elements of Batman Arkham Asylum, only with it's kind of Dark Souls-y feel. The combat is challenging, and you don't. It's not just mash buttons. It's kind of get a few attacks in, back off, a few attacks in, back off. But that makes it so once you've defeated the boss or whatever enemy you're facing, you feel a lot better about what you've done. The potions replenish quite a lot. Like if you were to meditate, which you can only do if you're on the really easy difficulty or just the normal, they automatically replenish. So in times that's good, but at times it feels a bit cheaty. It's just kind of like, but I suppose if you're in a fight and you've had to use them, then you've had to use them for good reason. But that's only if you've got the materials that they'll replenish. That is. Dodging's good. I preferably don't dodge. I normally roll. I just find that it's further away. I've only dodged not very. I've not dodged very often, so it's kind of like it's not needed. Food. Food you can buy from merchants and you can buy, but it doesn't just give you a set amount of vitality regen. It gives you so much a second, and different foods give you different seconds. Like for example, a bit of fruit will give you 5 seconds, but water gives you 20, and they give you different stats and stuff. So it makes it, if you go into a dungeon, you need to make sure, or you go into a boss battle, you need to make sure you either have potions or food, because once you've ran out, you've got a problem. You won't be able to regenerate health because you can't meditate during combat. So you need to take it a lot carefully. I was fighting one of the earlier bosses when I'd ran out of food, and it took me 20 minutes to defeat him because I just had to keep on dodging and then use my signs. Now my signs, there's 5 different signs, and if I can remember off the top of my head, it's Quen, Igni, Ard, and 2 others, but I've found that I use Igni the most. I don't really use Quen, I just prefer to dodge, because, and Ard, like, I only use on occasions, but Igni's the main one I feel that I use. And the signs just add and the magic element almost to the game, which I think I sometimes feel like they had to include that, because I feel like a lot of people wouldn't complain. Like I know it's a staple of the Witcher games that the witches are able to use small elements of magic, but I do sometimes feel like they're an added bonus in combat, but they don't have to be there. But that's just my opinion. Well, otherwise you might be watching the video. Moving on to the quests. The quest, there is humongous amounts of quests. You get quests everywhere you go. You can go into a village, unlock a quest. Go into... The quests are all varied. The quests all feel like there's a purpose to them. Normally, in a lot of RPGs, especially MMOs, you go up to a guy who goes, oh, get 10 feathers, and you go grind and kill the mobs and go get the feathers and bring it back to him, and you're just like, well, alright. It just seems like it's just there. But the quests feel meaningful in this. You generally feel, especially with the Witcher contracts, which is when you get people pay you money to go and defeat a monster of some kind that's terrorising something about them, like the village or their business or their children, and you generally feel sorry for them because it's about them, and you wonder what will be the outcome. I mean, the actual end game has 36 different endings. 36 endings is just ridiculous. I just can't even imagine that amount of time. The fact that it's included in that is pretty spectacular. So it's such, like, the main quest line, a lot of games, like RPG wise, the main quest, especially I found it in Skyrim, evident. All the other guild quest lines and all the other actual side quests was the reason why the people played the game. I mean, if it was just the main quest, it would have been pretty bad because the main quest was not great in Skyrim. I mean, it was pretty good, but it wasn't for the length of the total game completion, which is maybe 300 hours. Some people have played for over 300 hours. If you go absolutely everything, you could go through the main quest line in maybe 10, 15 hours. It was not long, but I am 30 hours 30 hours into the game currently, and I am barely scratching the surface. I mean, the leveling, I quite like the leveling because normally in a lot of these games it doesn't take that long to level up, and you get infinite XP if you go do this quest multiple times and just keep on grinding. You can't do that because the game specifically pushes you towards doing quests to obtain your goal. Like, for example, you have, if you find a gigantic monster nest, you get more XP for burning the monster nest total than killing the monsters. And I think that just encourages people to include the quests more. And I think that's a good idea because it's like they've spent more time making the quests and developing the quest characters than they did with maybe 5 quests total than they did with focusing on one monster and their design and how they move and how their combat works. So I think that's really good. Now I'm going to move on to interface. The interface of the main menu is amazing. I mean, it's 6 different main. You've got alchemy, crafting, world map, quests, character, and glossary. And I think a lot of games have a glossary, and when they have the glossary, people never touch them, they just leave them. But the fact that I'm like that mostly, but the fact that it came to this, every time I see a character update or every time I see a new monster, I will immediately just go to the glossary and look it up because, like, the glossary actually has a use in the fact that it tells you the weaknesses of the monsters. For example, a water one would have weakness to maybe blade oil and the odd sign or something. I don't know them off the top of my head, but I still think that's really good, and it encourages the player again to like look at the stuff that they've created. They want you to explore this world. They want you to go straight into it. They want you to be excited at the prospect of going into the game and playing it. And I think they've done that really well. Now, I had deliberately not gone to the world yet because I could talk about the world forever. I mean, it is just incredible. It's nothing like I've ever seen before. I think I've been on the horse that they give you 3 times, probably, and that was for the horse races. But other than that, I don't even run. I don't fast travel. I just walk because the trees and the shadows and the render distance. Oh, don't even get me started. You can 1,000 yards away. I think it's in yards is what they measure it in. But you can see. I take the. There's an island in the middle of Velen called Fike Isle, and beyond that there's a tree, and it's just a tree in a hill. There's nothing special about the tree, but I could see this tree from over 1,500 yards away. Well, I think it's yards. It's either yards or steps. I'm not sure, but the fact I could see that as clear as day was outstanding. I was just shocked, and I thought to myself, that is dedication. I don't even know, like, how much effort they must have put into the game to develop that kind of scale, that kind of world. I mean, Velen itself, you would just assume, oh, it's just a swamp. This is all it is. It's just a swamp, but the amount of landmarks and the amount of there's like you get the undiscovered locations which help you along the way. You can get monster nests, bandit camps. These all help you gain loot, and I'll talk about the alchemy and crafting bits in a minute. But like the one thing that summed up this for me was I was just walking through a forest, and then I came to a river, and in the river there was one single solitary blowing flag. It was blown like that, and I just stared at that and went, they didn't need to put that in there. They didn't need to put it there. It was, but they put it there, and that was brilliant. And I thought that is incredible. The fact they had to put that there. Now I'm going to move on to the alchemy and the crafting elements of the game. A lot of people only criticisms of the game is that the alchemy and the crafting isn't very good. But I find it interesting. Like I think a lot of people's complaints about it is the fact that for most of the stuff that you need to craft, you can just go to a merchant and buy it, and that is true. But money is a hard thing to come by in the game. It's not like it appears everywhere. You need to complete contracts and get stuff done to actually earn money. My one complaint about it is I feel it's a bit too easy for stuff to be repaired. Like if you repair your sword and then you go out and kill a bunch of people, maybe 20 minutes later it needs repaired again. And yes, you've got the armor, yes, you've got the weapon stuff you can buy, and but sometimes it's a bit pricey. I mean, it's about 45 crowns for a weapon repair thing, and that's only 15%, but it's actually only like 30 coin to repair it from 50% to full. So I do feel that the game's trying to cheat you out a bit there, but I understand that it has to cost more for it to be portable, but maybe a bit lower. That's one of my criticisms. But the alchemy is good. It is a bit difficult for you to get health regeneration potions. Like maybe too much, but again, it's just it's varies in different people's opinions. And the crafting is really good as well. You can get schematics from around the world for different weapons and armor, and you can actually make that armor later on. It's pretty good. I'm pretty happy about it. So that's pretty good, and I feel that last of all, just in general, it's got a great world. It's got really good, well developed quests. It's got a stellar crafting and alchemy system, and it has a brilliant glossary. And the only cons is maybe maybe make it so items are more durable, such as armor and weapons, and maybe don't make potions so hard to craft. And sometimes the meditation feels a bit cheaty. But I suppose if you want to play on like Deathmarch or something, it doesn't matter. So pros outweigh cons. So I'm gonna give this a 9.8 out of 10. It's really enjoyable. It's probably my game of the year so far, and I am looking forward to getting further into the game. I mean, I'm 30 hours in and I just got to the main city, so I'm really looking forward to developing it in the game, and I hope this review has helped you think about if you're going to buy it or not. And I am going to make sure to follow me on Twitch at Sugarman3000 to watch me play the game further. So that's me. Goodbye, and I will see you next time.